Welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanziba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present important news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. At a Hanukkah event, Biden condemns venom of anti-Semitism. Air Force grounds entire B-2 fleet after emergency landing. Arctic air will blast much of US just before Christmas. Magnitude 6.4 earthquake shakes part of Northern California. Suspense builds at border over future of US asylum rules. Children's medicine shortage hits as flu season starts first. Congress moves to ban TikTok from US government devices. US flies bombers stealth jets as Kim's sister threatens. Johnny Depp Amber Heard settle defamation appeals. Harvey Weinstein found guilty of rape in Los Angeles trial. US forces detain 6 Islamic State group militants in Syria. Survivor found from Thai Navy ship that sank Sunday. UK government refuses to give way on pay as nurses medics strike. Zelensky visits front, Putin praises troops in Kremlin. Chinese with mild COVID urged to work as restrictions ease. Sea of people try to catch a glimpse of Argentina's soccer team. And Packers defeat Rams 24-12 to keep playoff hopes alive. Now news in detail. President Joe Biden on Monday expressed alarm about growing anti-Semitism in the United States and around the globe and vowed to fight back against the scourge. Speaking to guests gathered for a Hanukkah reception at the White House, Biden said silence is complicity and added that it's imperative that hate, violence and anti-Semitism are condemned by the nation. This year's Hanukkah arrives in the midst of rising and emboldened anti-Semitism at home and quite frankly around the world, Biden said. I recognize your fear, your hurt, your worry that this vile and venom is becoming too normal, the president added. I will not be silent. America will not be silent. The holiday celebration comes during a spate of anti-Semitic episodes. Former President Donald Trump hosted a Holocaust-denying white supremacist at his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach, Florida. The rapper Ye expressed love for Adolf Hitler in an interview. Basketball star Kyrie Irving appeared to promote an anti-Semitic film on social media. Neo-Nazi trolls are clamoring to return to Twitter as new CEO Elon Musk grants amnesty to suspended accounts. The Air Force has grounded its entire fleet of B-2 stealth bombers following an emergency landing and fire earlier this month, and none of the strategic aircraft will perform flyovers at this year's College Bowl games. A bomber experienced an in-flight malfunction on December 10, forcing it to make an emergency landing at Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, where it caught fire. The fire was extinguished and there were no injuries. The stand down is significant in that there are fewer than 20 stealth bombers in the entire fleet, and the aircraft provides, along with the B-52 Stratofortress, the air leg of the nation's nuclear triad. The B-2 has been regularly deployed to the Indo-Pacific and more recently to Europe as a show of force. During the stand down, the entire fleet will be inspected. 509th Bomb Wing spokeswoman Air Force Master Sergeant Beth Del Vecchio said. The B-2 was scheduled to fly over the 2023 Rose Parade and Rose Bowl game, but it will be replaced by the B-1 Lancer, the 509th Bomb Wing said in a statement. Forecasters are warning of treacherous holiday travel and life-threatening cold for much of the nation as an Arctic air mass blows into the already frigid southern United States. We are looking at much below normal temperatures, potentially record low temperatures leading up to the Christmas holiday, said Jack Taylor, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. The polar air arrives as an earlier storm system gradually winds down in the northeastern U.S. after burying parts of the region under 2 feet of snow. More than 80,000 customers in New England were still without power on Sunday morning, according to poweroutage.us, which tracks outage across the country. The incoming Arctic front brings extreme and prolonged freezing conditions for southern Mississippi and southeast Louisiana, the National Weather Service in a special weather statement Sunday. By Thursday night, temperatures will plunge as low as 13 degrees in Jackson, Mississippi, and around 5 degrees in Nashville, Tennessee, the National Weather Service predicts. For much of the U.S., the winter weather will get worse before it gets better. A strong earthquake shook parts of Northern California early Tuesday, jolting residents awake, cutting off power to thousands, and causing some damage to buildings and roads, officials said. 2 injuries were reported. The magnitude 6.4 earthquake occurred at 2:34 a.m. near Ferndale, a small community about 210 miles northwest of San Francisco and close to the Pacific coast. The epicenter was just offshore at a depth of about 10 miles. Numerous aftershocks followed. The Humboldt County Office of Emergency Services initially tweeted that there were reports of widespread damages to roads and homes, but authorities subsequently indicated that damage was less than what might be expected from the size of the tremor. 2 injuries were reported, but both people were expected to recover. County Sheriff's Information Specialist Samantha said in an email to the Associated Press. No fatalities were immediately reported, said Brian Ferguson, a spokesperson for the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. Suspense mounted at the U.S. border with Mexico on Tuesday about the future of restrictions on asylum seekers as the Supreme Court issued a temporary order to keep pandemic-era limits on migrants in place. Conservative-leaning states own a reprieve, though it could be brief, as they push to maintain a measure that allows officials to expel many but not all asylum seekers. In a last-ditch written appeal to the Supreme Court, they argued that an increased numbers of migrants would take a toll on public services such as law enforcement and health care, and warned of an unprecedented calamity at the southern border. Chief Justice John Roberts granted a stay pending further order, asking the administration of President Joe Biden to respond by 5 p.m. Tuesday. That's just hours before restrictions are slated to expire on Wednesday. The Department of Homeland Security, which is responsible for enforcing border security, acknowledged Roberts' order and also said the agency would continue preparations to manage the border in a safe, orderly, and humane way when the Title 42 public health order lifts. Caring for sick children has become extra stressful recently for many U.S. parents due to shortages of children's Tylenol and other medicines. Doctors and other experts say the problem could persist through the winter, cold and flu season, but should not last as long as other recent shortages of baby formula or prescription drugs. They also say parents have alternatives if they encounter empty store shelves. An unusually fast start to the annual US flu season, plus a spike in other respiratory illnesses, created a surge in demand for fever relievers and other products people can buy without a prescription. There are more sick kids at this time of year than we have seen in the past couple years, said Dr. Shannon Dillon, a pediatrician at Raleigh Children's Health in Indianapolis. Experts say that's the main factor behind the shortages, which vary around the country and even within communities. TikTok would be banned from most US government devices under a government spending bill Congress unveiled early Tuesday, the latest push by American lawmakers against a Chinese-owned social media app. The $1.7 trillion package includes requirements for the Biden administration to prohibit most uses of TikTok or any other app created by its owner, ByteDance Limited. The requirements would apply to the executive branch with exemptions for national security, law enforcement, and research purposes and don't appear to cover Congress, where a handful of lawmakers maintain TikTok accounts. TikTok is consumed by two-thirds of American teens and has become the second most popular domain in the world. But there is long been bipartisan concern in Washington that Beijing would use legal and regulatory power to seize American user data or try to push pro-China narratives or misinformation. Speaking Friday, CIA Director William Burns said Beijing can insist upon extracting the private data of a lot of TikTok users in this country and also to shape the content of what goes onto TikTok as well to suit the interests of the Chinese leadership. The United States flew nuclear-capable bombers and advanced stealth jets in a show of force against North Korea on Tuesday, as the powerful sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un derided doubts about her country's military and threatened a full-range intercontinental ballistic missile test. The deployment of the US B-52 bombers and the F-22 stealth fighter jets for joint drills with South Korean warplanes was part of an agreement to protect South Korea with all available means, including nuclear, South Korea's defense ministry said. The drills, which also included F-35 and F-15 fighter jets from South Korea, took place in the waters southwest of Jeju Island, the ministry said. The US F-22 jets were deployed in South Korea for the first time in 4 years and will stay throughout this week for training with South Korean forces, it said. The drills were held after North Korea claimed to have launched a test satellite for the development of its first military spy satellite and tested a solid-fueled motor to be used on a more mobile intercontinental ballistic missile in the past several days. Actor Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have settled their defamation lawsuits following a high-profile trial earlier this year, in which the former couple accused each other of physical and verbal abuse. Heard announced the settlement Monday on social media. Both sides had filed appeals of various aspects of the jury's verdicts in June. The 7-person civil jury had awarded Depp $10 million in damages, but also awarded $2 million to Heard. Depp's camp said the deal includes a $1 million payment from her to him to settle all financial claims. Depp's lawyer said he will donate that money to charity. We are pleased to formally close the door on this painful chapter for Mr. Depp, who made clear throughout this process that his priority was about bringing the truth to light. The jury's unanimous decision and the resulting judgment in Mr. Depp's favor against Ms. Heard remain fully in place, Depp's lawyers Benjamin Chew and Camille Vasquez said. After a month-long trial and 9 days of deliberations, Los Angeles jurors on Monday found Harvey Weinstein guilty of the rape and sexual assault of just one of the 4 accusers he was charged with abusing. But the 3 guilty counts involving an Italian actor and model known at the trial as Jane Doe 1 still struck a major blow against the disgraced movie mogul and provided another Me Too moment of reckoning, 5 years after he became a magnet for the movement. Weinstein, 70 years old, who is 2 years into a 23-year sentence for a rape and sexual assault conviction in New York that is under appeal, could get up to 24 years in prison in California when he is sentenced. He was found guilty of rape, forced oral copulation, and another sexual misconduct count involving the woman who said he appeared uninvited at her hotel room door during a Los Angeles film festival in 2013. American forces conducted 3 raids in eastern Syria and arrested 6 Islamic State group militants, U.S. Central Command said Tuesday. In their statement, U.S. Central Command said the raids were conducted over the preceding 48 hours and identified one of the detained militants as al-Zubaydi, a Syria province senior official of the group who they say was involved in planning and facilitating attacks in Syria. Britain-based opposition were monitored. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 2 of the 3 raids took place in the Deir el-Zor and Hasakeh regions, adding that Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces were also involved. They identified 4 of the detained as Turkmen weapons dealers affiliated with the militant group. 2 SDF fighters were wounded in one raid. Now it's time for global updates. Rescuers found a survivor and recovered 5 bodies from a Thai warship that sank over the weekend in the Gulf of Thailand, Navy officials said Tuesday, as hopes faded for 24 people still missing. Officials acknowledged there were not enough life jackets for all those aboard. The HTMS Sukhothai, a corvette in service for 35 years, sank Sunday night in rough seas with 105 people aboard. The Navy said an earlier tally of 106 people on board was incorrect because one sailor failed to join the journey. Navy Commander Admin said initially at a news conference in Bangkok that 2 people had been rescued on Tuesday, but later said he had received updated information that only 1 person was alive and that 5 bodies had been recovered. According to those figures, 76 people have now been rescued, 5 have been found dead, and 24 are still unaccounted for. Navy Chief of Staff Admin Chonlathis Navanugaraha said the survivor and the bodies, along with some debris, were found about 60 kilometers from where the ship sank. He said the United States, Britain, and Malaysia have offered to help in the search. The British government said Tuesday it will not offer more money to nurses and ambulance crews to end strikes that are piling pressure on an already overstretched health system. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's Conservative administration is under pressure to increase its pay offer to healthcare staff who are seeking big raises in the face of decades-high inflation that was running at 10.7% in November. Thousands of nurses walked off the job Tuesday in their second 24-hour strike this month. Ambulance drivers, paramedics, and dispatchers are set to strike on Wednesday and again on December 28. The government says it will dispatch 1,200 troops to fill in for striking ambulance drivers and border staff who are due to walk out later this week. Unions say ambulance crews will attend the most serious calls, but officials say they can't guarantee everyone who needs an ambulance will get one. Health Minister Will Quinn suggested people avoid risky activity during the ambulance strike. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky on Tuesday visited an eastern city that is the focus of some of the most intense combat of Russia's nearly 10-month war. While Russian President Vladimir Putin praised the courage and self-denial of his frontline forces in Ukraine, Zelensky met with military personnel in Bakhmut, the scene of fierce battles between Ukraine's defenders and Russia's invading forces, the president's office said. The city, located about 600 kilometers east of Kiev, has remained in Ukrainian hands, thwarting Moscow's goal of capturing Ukraine's entire Donbas region. It was not clear how Zelensky got to Bakhmut, but his unannounced trip to the combat zone appeared designed to shore up the morale of Ukrainians and to dishearten the Russians trying to encircle the city. The president saluted people's courage, resilience, and strength shown in repelling the enemy attacks. Several local governments in China encouraged people with mild cases of COVID-19 to go to work this week, another sign of the difficulty the country faces as its rollback of virus containment measures sets off a wave of infections and a growing number of deaths. Health authorities reported Tuesday that 5 people died in the latest 24-hour period, all in Beijing, fueling concern that the toll could rise sharply after the lifting of most zero-COVID restrictions. The official toll likely understates the actual number, and it's unclear how the unleashing of the virus will play out in China and whether the healthcare system can handle a surge in cases nationwide. The city of Guiyang in southern Guizhou province proposed that infected people with little or no symptoms go to work in a range of sectors, including government offices, state-owned companies, medical health and emergency workers, and those in express delivery and supermarkets. That's a sea change from just a few weeks ago, when China's policy was to isolate anyone infected at a hospital or government-run facility. The announcement Tuesday followed similar ones from the cities of Wuhan in Anhui province and Chongqing earlier this week. The moves appear to be in response to worker shortages that have affected medical care and food deliveries. Now it's time for business news. Now a look of today's sports stories. Thousands of fans lined up in the middle of the night to try to get a glimpse of the Argentina soccer team that won one of the greatest World Cup finals of all time ahead what is scheduled to be a day of celebrations in Buenos Aires. Members of the team, led by Captain Lionel Messi, were all smiles as they descended from the plane in Ezeiza right outside Argentina's capital, shortly before 3 a.m. Tuesday onto a red carpet that had been rolled out for the squad. Messi was the first player from the plane carrying the World Cup, flanked by coach Lionel Scaloni, who put his arm around the captain as they walked past a sign that read, "Thank you, champions." The players were welcomed by rock band La Mosca singing Muchachos, a song that was written by a fan to the tune of an old song by the band and became a popular unofficial anthem for Argentina fans at the World Cup in Qatar. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers aren't giving up hope they can still reach the playoffs, even as they remain multiple games below .500. A.J. Dillon ran for 2 scores, Rodgers threw a touchdown pass to Aaron Jones, and the Packers kept their playoff hopes afloat with a 24-12 victory over the Los Angeles Rams on Monday night amid freezing conditions. The temperature was 15 degrees with a wind chill of 7 just before the opening kickoff. The Packers likely must win out and get plenty of help to earn a fourth straight postseason berth. They visit Miami on Sunday before hosting the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions in their final two games. Let's have a look on today's weather chart. That's all in today's news. Keep watching Millennium News 24 for latest updates. Millennium TV USA and Millennium News 24 network is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jadoo TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all types of informative and entertainment program. Thank you.